Hey guys, Funkymusic here, and we're going to go over the Tier 9 spec really quick. Now, here is what I want everyone to know. I swapped out every piece for Tier 9 minus the chest piece. So let's go ahead and go here, and we're looking at the Heroic set. There is a sort of what you would consider a 10-man set, and then the one with the trophy set, and then there is the Heroic set. So I'm basing this off of the Heroic set. The stats here. Obviously, anything you use below that will be a stat loss. So you want to factor that in there as well. The four pieces that I chose were the head, the shoulders, the hands, and the legs. The reason why I chose not to change out the chest is it is a huge haste loss. It's a 98 haste loss. And it is also a gem loss from swapping out from what we're currently wearing, which is the silk robes off BPC. So I left the chest alone just to stay as close as I could to haste cap. With those swaps and swapping out for Cloak of the Burning Dusk, those are the only swaps I made to this this build here. And what you're going to see is it's actually not as far off as what I thought it would be. So with the gems included, this is including the slot bonuses that you're going to lose, because you're going to notice that some of these have blue sockets. I'm just swapping out the current gems I have and putting them in here. So the socket bonus losses, you're only going to be able to keep the hands, the legs. You're going to lose the legs. You're going to lose the shoulders. You're going to lose the helm in this build. Just so you know. So with all that said, and everything else that you are going to put into it, you are going to end up having to swap out one of your spell power gems, straight spell power gems, for spell power haste. This will give you a total of 166.7 spell power lost. You'll be 7 haste over the cap of 856. You will have a 138 spirit loss. I've already included that spirit loss incorporated into the spell power loss, and you're going to lose 25 crit rating. So those are the stat differences if you're swapping out those 5 pieces of gear to get the Tier 9 set. So actually, in all, it is a crit loss. So I figured you'd be around you'd be around close to 22%. Now the talent changes that you're going to want to do, if any at all, the only thing that I would consider is losing a point in Empowered Touch and putting it in 3/3 Natural Perfection. I can't really see any other talents that I would pick up, because when I calculated it out using the Tier 9 Heroic set, it's actually not that much of a haste loss. So you don't have to be forced to go down to Celestial Focus or pick up Nature's Grace. Or if you really wanted to, you could take a point out of Wild Growth and put it into Natural Perfection. I just can't see giving up Wild Growth. It's just a nice spell to have. It procs so much stuff. It works with Revitalize. I just can't see giving it up. So like I said, if I'm going for more crit, because I would want a little bit more crit probably, and versus the bonus healing effects, I'd lose 10%, but the Tier 9 gives you an extra 5% crit chance on Nourish. So standalone without any raid buffs, you're talking your Nourish should be around 53% crit with the Tier 9 set. And yeah, that's what I would swap out there. The only thing I'm swapping out glyph-wise is Glyph of Rejuvenation with Rapid Rejuve. Now, again, guys, this build that I'm creating right now and talking about using, this is only useful in direct healing, pumping out the most healing you possibly can, on tanks, on things that really need it. The most healing you can possibly do. Now, a fight like Syndragosa, because of the way Unchained Magic works, I don't know if I'd swap to Rapid Rejuve on that. I'd almost keep it at Glyph of Rejuvenation or use some other glyph for that fight, because obviously with Rapid Rejuve, your Rejuve timer, you're not going to have 18 seconds. It's going to be considerably lower. I think it's around 11 to 9 seconds, depending on what buffs are out, if Heroism's thrown or not. So you want those hots to go a little bit longer, especially if you get Unchained. That way they're going to be ticking for longer on players. You're going to be doing more healing that way, if that makes sense. You don't want a shorter tick that's just going to do a lot of overhealing. You're going to want that longer tick. So your heals are going to last longer while you're in Unchained. But fights like Deathbringer Saurfang, Blood Prince Council, even Lich King at some points. I might swap out for Rapid Rejuve. It's really hard to say what I do on that fight, because Rejuve becomes so nice, and what it can do in Frostmourne and Ledge phase, that you kind of want that longer tick. The problem with Rapid Rejuve is it does so much overhealing, and you can't get out as many rejuves as you can without it. Obviously, you're going to have to start refreshing sooner, correct? Because if you have an 11-second rejuve versus an 18-second rejuve, you can get more rejuves out on the raid. And it's really about how many people you can heal versus how fast you can heal them in Frostmourne and on Ledge phase. You only want speed when it comes to phase 1, phase 2, when you're trying to top that tank off right now, and he needs healing, as much healing as they possibly can. That's when you're going to be worrying about speed. So it's a good thing. It would be a good spec, and I would love to play with it some more. But that's the most viable spec I could come up with. I know you guys have been asking about it, and so I ran the numbers on it today, and that's probably the closest that I could get it to without really messing with the haste. Because if you're talking about messing with the haste, you're going to be taking points out of Revitalize, possibly even somewhere around like Natural Perfection. If you want to go even lower and go for even more crit strike rating, it's certainly possible. I wouldn't do it. I think the crit, you could probably with raid buffs get your crit to around close to a 30% chance with raid buffs. So you're talking every 1 in 3 rejuve is critting, and like me and Sasha was talking about, he's seen his rejuve was critting around like 4,200, which is really nice. But still, even then, you're talking that rejuve's still not doing. I don't know if his is fully geared up, and I would actually have to go and get the gear myself. I have the non-heroic set. I have the trophy set on my main. So I can always test out there to see what rejuve is maximizing its crit for. But versus, a static with all the spell power and whatnot that you're going to get from tier 10. We could certainly compare those two. If you guys would like me to compare them, I can leave a comment in there during that comparison. I would definitely love to play with that set and see what it would do versus the tier 10 set. Maybe have a side-by-side comparison of it one of these times. For sure, to maybe go along with this video. So maybe we'll just consider this like part 1 of the video. But yeah, those are the best options that I have seen and that I could come up with. Again, it's really only useful for certain fights. I think it would definitely outperform the tier 10 on certain fights. Again, Lady Death Whisperer, I feel like that it would outperform it there, especially in phase 1. Maybe not so much in phase 2, but definitely in phase 1 it would outperform the tier 10. Deathbringer Saurfang, it's going to outperform the tier 10. I think Rotface, it's definitely going to outperform it. Blood Prince Council, it would outperform the tier 10. Velithria, it's going to do better on Velithria. It's going to be doing better on Syndragosa with the way Unchained Magic works. But again, that depends on, if you want you got longer rejuve, so you can get more rejuves on more people. And then it really depends on what you're doing on Heroic Lich King. It really depends on that fight. It's too bad we can't swap the specs in the middle of a fight. That'd be great, because I just think the tier 10 really shines in phase 3. And I think it really brings out what Resto Druids are. Usually, everyone, Funky, it's phase 3. It's whatever. I've seen plenty of wipes in phase 3 before, guys. It's not something that's highly uncommon. Yes, once you get to phase 3, though, things become a lot easier. The struggle is phase 1 and phase 2. It's not really the ledge phases. It's not really phase 3. It's phase 1 and phase 2. So, yes, if your guild is definitely struggling with that, and they need more healing, they need more throughput, or if you're just trying to, outperform a certain class or just dump more healing in, or Resto Druids suck on Heroic Lich King, I would definitely swap to that and see what it would do. I think it would outperform, but if you're talking just overall healing wise, man, I just that fight on Lich King, just even with this, looking at the stat difference, looking at the losses, the gains, and what you're going to be facing, I just, especially what gets me is the spirit loss. You're losing 138 spirit. Yes, I know 138 spirit, but we're talking some significant losses in spirit where you're going to be losing some significant mana that you otherwise would have had. This might be forcing you to, go into dropping Glyph of Wild Growth, possibly picking up a Glyph of Innervate, or not using Rapid Rejuve and using Innervate. So anyways, my 2 cents on it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys have come up with. And if anyone has any comparable logs, please post them here. I will definitely check those out and try to compare them. Preferably with, Abyss versus the build that I've made. If you do have that, I would love to see those logs. So anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you later.